Hi, I'm Abby, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, 1 Minute Off. Please enjoy the ride. So I don't know if this is like a cool thing to talk about on the internet. I've heard a lot of like cold, lukewarm, and even hot takes about, dating in college and online dating and Tinder. And I think I'm just gonna go ahead and make this little video to kind of give you my own little opinions and experiences and like share it with the world in order to spark some kind of conversation. So, I'm 23, and so that means I've already lived a full and enriched life. I've dated a few people, and I've been single for a really, really long time. I'm currently in a relationship, and I've done everything in between, which sounds a bit wrong. But I know what it's like to be in your early 20s and like meet someone who means the world to you and someone who really makes you change your perspective on dating. I also know what it's like to deal with like the shattered version of that after the breakup that refuses any notion of romance. When you're dating someone really amazing, you'll never convince your single friends to start up a relationship. Just as if you're deep in hookup culture, it'll be hard for anyone to convince you in that moment of your life that you should be dating. The thing that's quite hard to admit is this. When we're single, we think we're always gonna feel this way, and vice versa. You go to your best friend and complain about your ex, and you're like, God, I can't believe I ever wanted to be with this dude. But in reality, there's a significant time and place where that's exactly what you wanted, even though now that almost comes off as embarrassing. It's the reason we watch our friends go from party to party every Saturday night, sleeping with people as if their lives depended on it. It's not a bad thing. I mean, we're, college aged and we're growing. It's fine to have differing opinions at different times, and you're not a hypocrite or contradicting yourself regardless of what your friends say is great. But knowing that in a relationship, your opinions aren't really the only ones that matter when it comes to your significant other and their life is really important. The way you feel about relationships will obviously, affect the way you feel about hookup culture. Beat by beat, on paper, if you're dating someone and you're happy with that, you're not going to have any desire to, hook up or sleep with any other person. On the other end of the spectrum, you have people who are pretty content with hooking up, who actively seek out stuff like that. And then there's, the option on dating apps for everybody to consider, which is couples in open relationships. I don't want to get into too deeply in this video about, why that puts me off a little bit, because I think it's more of a personal qualm, really, than anything else. It's always like those, we're looking for a fun third bisexual woman. It's almost never a guy. To join us on dates and cuddle sessions, and 2 small beans in a loving, committed, open relationship looking for spicy friends. One of the main social cultural challenges that Tinder gives us is that it's given us the ability to visualize our potential partners right in front of us, often before we even meet them. Moreover, it gives us a chance at a new personality, usually your own ideal personality. You're asked to narrow down your biography, your dating history, and your entire life into this little box on a computer screen, solely in the hopes that it might interest someone else. These questions often ask you to pick between two,
do you enjoy country music or metal music more?
And tend to feel more like, a phony psychic trying to generalize your thoughts more than a way to find a potential partner. Human traits can't really be, watered down to a preference of metal or country music, and a relationship certainly really shouldn't be started on 1 or 2 very broad things in common. The person we end up putting on the screen is almost never close to who we really are. It's difficult enough to be honest with ourselves to know our traits, and it's impossible not to think about which of these traits are suitable for attracting another person, when that's literally the goal of the Tinder algorithm. My generation has had to deal with so much misguided and unintentional superficiality in dating coming from TV and movies and, good old-fashioned naivete, that at my age, I feel like we often lose ourselves in our romantic partners who may have also exaggerated their personalities, thinking maybe we'll find ourselves in their chaos. We forget that the point of dating is to find somebody that makes you feel good about yourself, and who you feel good about supporting in their endeavors as much as they do yours. In one sense, it's an incredibly economic approach to dating. Tinder allows you to weigh these emotional benefits and costs of swiping right on somebody based on whether you're picking up what they're putting out. And, when these 2 parties have asymmetrical information, i.e., you're lying about your love of hiking, he's lying about his love of Billie Eilish. Neither of you will admit it, but it's kind of the reason you swiped right on some level. Things might not end very well. Once you construct this image and personality that you're happy with and commodify it on the app, you're selling yourself, or you're trying to sell yourself, just as well as you can to everybody else. What? Yeah, I did major in economics. Why? Why do you ask? It's not something to feel bad about. I mean, it's human nature. It's what we're all doing. We just don't call each other out on it because literally everyone in the app is participating in it, and doing that would make us hypocrites even if we don't consciously think that. Have you ever swiped right on somebody who just didn't have any photos? A profile of a blurry photo of a dog and a bio that just shows a Snapchat account? Hopefully not. Hopefully that would immediately cause you to swipe left. Profiles like that, even just a few years ago, used to be regarded as like attempted kidnappers, posing as young girls online or something. But having grown up parallel to the internet's growth and adolescence, I guess, it's pretty easy to tell when, it's that or when it's just a dude whose friend made him a Tinder that he never uses because he'd rather be playing League of Legends or something. The differing amounts of effort for men and women going into these profiles aside, when we go on these apps, we're trying to present the best version of ourselves, a version that's almost never really real. I think that, in a sense, this can cause a lot of false expectations in a relationship that don't even really come out in normal ways. On your profile, you rock climb every day, you listen to rock music, you're very interested in political conversation, you're just really cool. So you meet a cool guy with common interests and a sense of humor, you start something up, and it turns out that, he thought he wanted the same thing, or you thought you wanted the same thing. But after that initial honeymoon period, and being with you for a while, maybe you guys just don't want to define anything, or you guys don't want to be tied down to each other, or, something goes wrong. You find out something about him you don't really like and you don't really vibe with, whatever. And if you're the one who wanted a real relationship, but you didn't put that on Tinder because it kind of, scares people off, you just talked about how much you love rock climbing. Now, since on some level, you've developed feelings for this person, you don't really want to lose them, you have to keep playing the cool girl, lest he leave you for, becoming too emotional or attached. But, a cool girl is not real, not human, and has no feelings. You do have feelings. The role of cool girl is exhausting and dumb to play, honestly. This, much more different than all the other regular girls. She's, competing with other women for a prize that honestly really isn't worth much. This, as well as, the many roles we subconsciously or consciously play on Tinder, causes us to have these really unrealistic expectations for each other, and kind of chips away at the reminder that we're all, human beings with feelings and emotions that are affected by others' actions. No matter how much we can try and become robots and, quantify these qualities that we have, it can't be done because personality traits can't be measured on a screen. Tinder lets us think we can, organize these feelings into little compartments as if it's this physical task that can be done in minutes and get processed by your brain right away. But moreover, it's a good thing that our personalities can't be defined or quantified. I don't think anybody wants who they are or what they're about to be defined by anyone but themselves. And, no one wants to be exactly the same, I think. But once we start having solid definitions of each other that we use in social interactions, to justify our actions, generalization becomes this snowballing problem, and miscommunication can unfortunately destroy. I believe we have to start kind of asking ourselves these hard questions about how we perceive each other in, contemporary dating culture, especially online. And that's a really terrifying thing, especially for people my age, because being alone is marketed as one of the most terrifying things in the world. But in reality, if you don't feel fulfilled by your first partner, you don't need to stay with them. Romantic relationships are taking each other's emotions and feelings into consideration enough to share your most intimate and vulnerable parts with them, physically and emotionally. This, I cannot stress enough, includes the good and the bad. And it's not all of them, but some open relationships take that basic concept and change it into this unnecessary competition. Relationships are supposed to make you feel good about yourself, not make you constantly question just how much your physical appearance and attraction matters to where you get your romantic and sexual pleasure from. You can love multiple people in multiple ways. That's not the issue. The issue lies more in if, there's a lack of respect faced by the third party in the relationship, or if the person who hasn't slept with anyone else watches their significant other find multiple partners. You can argue and say that you won't, experience these things, that those problems won't apply to you because you're sure you don't feel that way. But like I said earlier, how you feel about relationships right now could be completely different in a year, since our early 20s are all about change, baby, even if we don't realize it when it's happening. In these sort of situations, there's not a lot of room for this very justified hurt and anger to fall. You can say you're totally fine with anything, but our emotions don't let us lie to ourselves for too long. In a normal context, being cheated on or lied to sucks, a lot. When you can't be angry when your partner sleeps with someone else because you guys set up rules against those types of emotions and agreed to them, your anger has nowhere to go, even if you still feel it. And that's not very healthy, maybe? I'm not trying to, cause any breakups or, approach this with a narrow mind. As I said earlier, things going on in your life at that moment have a lot of influence on what you say and what you think. There could be good things about open relationships that I'm missing, you know, and I'm really open to discussion about those. I just finally wanted to make a video about this because I've had this written up forever in my Google Drive, and I thought it finally deserved to see the light. Look, I mean, call me crazy, but the whole idea of, you know, you can be the girl who sucks my dick when my main partner's busy, and we'll sort of have a nice connection, but we can never really explore that any further, even though you might want to, because I'm always going to have stronger feelings for this other woman who you haven't met and probably won't meet, and who I actually seem to kind of hate. It doesn't sound great to me. I wouldn't really want to be either girl in that situation. The saying goes, you know, the old adage, that you can't love anybody until you love yourself. Ugh. But this isn't really expanded upon much. I think it's more of this deeper notion of, you know, knowing your own self-worth enough to know what kind of relationship with a person will make you feel good and will be beneficial to you in the long run. My generation, I don't think, gets told enough to prioritize our own well-being. And hookup culture, I think, is a large thing that perpetuates that. It's not that you can't love anybody until you love yourself. It's that love is using a knowledge about a person gained from spending quality time with them to care for and support them in the best way that you can, and getting that back in tandem. And you kind of know when you know this special sort of consideration when you see something at a store that you know your partner will laugh at, so you take a picture. Or when your partner surprises you with a new notebook because your journal got soaked in the rain and they know you love to write. I'm going off on weird tangents now, but if you take anything from this video, all I'm really trying to say is that relationships and sexual intimacy at this age with other people is supposed to make you feel good about yourself. At any age, really. I can promise you that if you're relating to anything I said in this video, you don't need to be with anybody that you don't want to be with. And at the same time, nobody can tell you not to be as liberated as you are either. But, you know, this is a weird time for us youngsters. And talking about finding love is difficult when we're not even really sure who we actually are yet. If you made it this far, thank you for watching this spicy little take. Make sure to leave a comment because I would really actually love to debate this with people, as I'm sure I'm not totally 100% right. What can I say? I haven't experienced everything. I'm only 23. Again, thank you for watching. Next week I'll actually be back with episode 3 of Name 5 Albums with a certain member of an Irish garage band. I'm Abby, this is 1 Minute Off, and I'll see you next time.